Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast. I almost forgot to say anything. I don't know who I was waiting.
Didn't we just agree?
Yes, we just agreed I would do it. So, welcome everybody to the Peak Endurance Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, in your ears, you have moi, Isabelle Tate. I've been teaching French this week.
Oh,
See?
yeah, of course, yes.
Je m'appelle Isabelle Tate. And
Me,
tu?
Ron Tate. I haven't been teaching French.
No, clearly not. Clearly not. And when I say teaching French, I've been telling the kids to go on Education Perfect on their laptop.
While you do some of your own work quietly.
Well, if they're working quietly, why can't I work quietly?
Absolutely. Schoolwork, I mean.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm at school and I'm doing some work. Yes. All right. So, a little bit of personal update, Tar.
Oh, what have we been doing?
Oh, God, I don't know. I can't even remember. Last week was Friday. It was this time last week we were chatting about old Barkley.
That's right. So we've basically been learning how to run again.
Yes, which, oh my God, we ran on Saturday. And this is what's led to today's podcast idea. It was freaking horrendous. We'll get into why it was horrendous later. But, oh my word.
It started off tough.
It started off shit.
And
not for you, for me.
No,
yeah, for me, I was just on struggle street the entire time. There wasn't a moment that I wasn't on struggle street. The first step was a struggle.
Yeah, that's right.
And I hated my life.
The first step was a trip, and then you just stumbled the rest of the way
that's
around.
It, exactly. And it was just stumble, trip, stumble, trip. The whole freaking time. It was not my finest moment.
No, you were not at your best.
I was very slow. By the end, we would just run walking because I just couldn't even run. It was like I was just rooted, for want of a better term.
Yeah, you were.
So, yeah, so that was shit.
Yeah, so we did 30 Ks.
30 Ks.
Reasonably flat.
Yeah, just 570 meters climbing.
Compared to what we've been doing, or what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So we ran kind of a loop through Listerfield,
which is a state, national, some sort of park near us.
Some park, regional park. I don't know. It's a park. It's not. It's a little bit hilly, but not mountainous.
It's quite runnable.
Yeah.
And yet I was walking.
You started off suggesting that you were going to run, the hills, but
because I was being very careful just to trot up the hills, not push myself. Because like I said, I wanted to run the hills. I didn't want to be walking them. By the end, I was just about walking the flats, wasn't I? Like really, I lost the will to live.
That's right. So it was tough. But you did.
It wasn't really under normal circumstances. That was the easiest run possible.
But you did finish the 30 Ks, even if it wasn't pretty.
Even though there was a lot of suffering involved.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what? Suck it up, buttercup. And also, suffering is good. You have to learn to find the ability to push through suffering as you run. Sorry, I'm just removing a sticker. I'm a bit of a faffer. I like to faff and fiddle. I can't sit still. I used to be one of those people when I went out, I'd rip the labels off the beer bottle. I'd sit there picking and scratching and just, there would be rubbish all around me. I was that fucking annoying person. Where was I? Yeah, it was just shit.
So by the time you finished running, you were pretty much ready to give up running entirely.
Yeah, pretty much. I was going to take up lawn bowls.
I think that phrase may have even been used.
Yes, it may have. It was certainly when I got home. Even when I got home, I still hated my life.
Yeah.
But then we went out.
We did.
To Belgrave, to the Cameo Cinemas, to see Stephen K. Amos, a British comedian.
Yep.
And we went out for dinner first.
And friends.
Oh, and friends.
Special guests. Brought a couple of his friends with him.
Yeah. Which means you had to sit through other comedians before you get to the one that you actually thought you were going to see.
That's right.
But, whatever. I'm just not good at sitting still. That's the bit I struggle
that's right. You were starting to move around in your seat pretty much before it even started.
Yeah, but because we had to wait for 45 fucking minutes in our seats.
It said it opened at 7:30, so we got there
20 past.
And
there was a huge queue and everyone raced in. And to be fair, we needed to be there at 7:30 to get our seats.
Yeah. And we had pretty good seats.
Up the front. But not close enough to get picked on.
That's right. Close enough to feel like you're up the front, but not close enough that he saw us.
Yeah. And but then, oh my God, it was meant to start at 8, and I think it didn't start till 20 past. And then it was not only was it other comedians, it was the MC, and there was
Yeah,
an
there was.
MC for the MC. Like, explain that one to me. I don't
know.
understand.
An MC came out and introduced the MC.
Yeah, like, seriously, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I grab my cup. Look at me and my ginormous cup.
It's a bucket. It's not
I've
a
got
cup.
my Stanley cup. I'm now one of the cool kids. I'm so excited. Excuse me. I hope I don't slurp, but I've just had a crumpet with jam because I'm trying to up my carbs, hence the topic.
That's the topic.
But it makes you thirsty.
So yes, so
Seamless.
we had a big night out, and like I say, we went
Big
out for
night
dinner.
out.
Well, for us,
Yeah.
A big night out basically just means leaving the house. Or
Yeah, pretty much.
We went out for dinner before the show.
And we went into Belgrave and we couldn't find anything. Everything looked a bit meh.
We thought we'd just drive in and look around and find something.
But nothing appealed.
But yeah, there was there was a couple of restaurants, but nothing really jumped out at us. And
no. Smacked us in the face.
Yeah.
So we went into Tacoma because I had read in a Facebook group page for the hills area that we live in that there was a good restaurant there. So we went there. It was the Hungry Hiker, Indonesian Nepalese food. And oh, that was so good. It was expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, relatively expensive. I went out last night with a friend and it was much the same prices. So
was it?
Yeah. So it was dearer than most Indian we go to, but may I say, it was like double the amount of food. So it was probably about the same price, just way better food.
The food.
Oh my God, the naan. Oh.
Yeah, lots of food, and it was really good, really tasty.
And a nice atmosphere, and the guy who worked there was super friendly.
I had a feeling, I think he might have been like an owner or
yeah, I feel like he was.
Like he was young, but the way he was talking, it was, talking like it was his restaurant. So.
And to be fair, everybody's young compared to us.
Yes.
So we're expecting people to look older than us to own a restaurant, but no, if he was in his 30s, that's old enough to own a restaurant, but he looks like a baby.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is a teenager owning a restaurant? Like, what the fuck's going on with this world?
Yeah. So that does bring home.
So the fact is, he was probably in his 30s. He just looked like a little bear to us.
Yeah. So and it was just a really nice ambience, and just
it was really nice.
The service was great.
Yeah, and delicious food. And Ron managed to spill shit everywhere.
I did, but when they've got tablecloths, they just take the tablecloths away. That's right.
Yeah. Whereas when you're at home, you just sweep it onto the floor.
Vacuum it up next week.
Yeah, that's right. So we did that, and oh my God, by the time it finished, it was like 10 o'clock. I almost turned into a pumpkin.
That's right, and which is late for us.
That is extremely late, and I was wearing little heels, and I nearly couldn't walk back to the car.
Yeah, because Belgrave
is a hilly area.
And where we parked was up a hill from the cinema, so walking back up that hill.
And I'm just not good at wearing fancy shoes. I had to have my shoes off in the cinemas, which thankfully my feet don't smell.
No.
That's what the lady next to me said. No, I think she looked at me a bit weird when I took my shoes off, and I thought, stuff you, my feet are sore. Especially my feet were sore mainly from the 30K more than anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then we got up and ran the next morning, and it was a world of difference for me, but we'll go into why that was in the course of the podcast.
Yeah.
And then since then, it's just been getting back into routine, and it's almost like I was never gone. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's super weird. Like, it feels like it happened in a different lifetime. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's so real and in your face while it's all happening. I mean, for the love of God, the Barkley Marathons, who would have thought I would ever go, let alone 3 times? I mean, I remember hearing about the Barkley Marathons, and it's some like mystique thing, and like, wow, I would never be good enough, and I could never do that. And I've been 3 times. It's like, I don't know. I still sometimes I'm pinching myself going, is it me or my doppelganger that went, who's better than me? Anyway, speaking of the Barkley Marathons, we have an idea for next week's podcast. I've even organised our special guest.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Oh, it's taken a lot of work trying to go through her PA and trying to get access to her. No, it's my daughter, everybody.
Yeah. And you are a PA. So.
Yeah, pretty much. So she will be coming on the podcast to give her point of view as crew at the Barkley, and also her point of view as someone who's not a runner, you know, because it's going to be different Yeah, so tune in, because I'm sure there'll be lots of Isabel bagging going on.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
As she makes fun of me. She loves to make fun of me. I don't know why. I'm so awesome and perfect.
Especially in her eyes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. She likes to boss me around. So just everyone is going to want to tune in for that, because I'm sure a lot of people think I'm bossy. Isabel Ross thinks she's the boss. That's what they used to say at primary school. So, you know, you can have a listen and
yeah, listen and listen to Isabel being put in her place.
Yeah, that's right. Well and truly, listen for that alone, let alone her viewpoint on the Barclay. No, but she's awesome. She's fun. So it'll be lots of fun, I'm sure. I say that now. I have no clue.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will be.
I'm sure it will be, and I'm sure the language will be colourful. So tune in with
although she does not swear as much as me.
No, doesn't she? No.
Doesn't she?
Yeah,
Do you think she does?
Yeah, she kind of does.
I don't know where she fucking got it from.
No idea.
And it was funny because I was swearing or something, and when we were at the Barclay and someone commented something, and Elizabeth's like, "Oh well, Mum, tell them what Adam's first word was." Who's my son, and of course his first word was fuck, followed by shit, and that was his second word. So
forget that, mom, pa, mom, dad.
No, mum and dad was not his first words. Fuck and shit were. I don't know how that happened. No, seriously. So yes, my children were brought up very properly.
Yes.
It's funny because I was brought up properly, but look at me.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, in actual fact, Adam does not swear at all now. He thinks it's a sign of lack of intelligence. Or lack of vocabulary. Right. I'm like, yeah, fucking oath. Yeah, so Adam doesn't swear. You know, you always go opposite to your parents, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
So, which is why neither of them drink. They don't really swear. Yeah, anyway.
Neither of them smoke.
Yeah, well, Elizabeth does.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
not cigarettes. Anyway.
Goodness me.
Still remember when Elizabeth and I lived in Baronia, and I kept smelling dope, and she blamed it on the neighbours. And when the cops came over for something, and I'm like, "Oh, it smells like dope here," but that's the neighbours, and it was her.
Especially when we found the bong outside the window.
Anyway, we digress. Yeah, I know, right? Jesus Christ.
Damn neighbours are even leaving their bongs in our
yard. And then all the chips and chocolate packets. They were the next giveaway. Anyway, of course, we've never done anything like that.
Absolutely not.
We're perfect and wonderful and sweet. Okay, anyway.
Okay, so now that we've dubbed in Elizabeth,
how mean of me to bag her when she's not. Oh no, she doesn't. You know, that's fine. Not bagging her.
What is our topic for today?
All right, the topic for today is the power of carbohydrates and the importance of carbohydrates for runners, because so many runners think that they should cut carbs or whatever, which may be fine for a sedentary person, but oh my Lord,
carbs make you fat.
Oh yeah, carbs make you fat. That's right. Ooh, God forbid. Well, all food makes you fat. If you eat too much, doesn't matter what the hell you eat. I mean, I remember when I was a cyclist, it was fat makes you fat. And carbs and all we would eat was carbs. Like dinner would be pasta with some tomatoey sauce stuff on it. That was, and the pasta, my word, there must have been like 600 grams of pasta in my bowl. It was a freaking mountain. And that was, you know, I mean, that's what everyone ate, because that's when carbs were the king and fat was bad. Of course, you know, I ended up getting such dry skin that was cracking and my nails were flaking. My hair was all brittle. That was from lack of fats, because people, we need fats. The thing is, we need all macronutrients, fat, protein, and carbs, right? You need all of them. That's why I don't believe in any diet cult that gets rid of any, cuts out any of them, because the human body has evolved to need all of them. So you need carbs. And if you do an endurance sport, doesn't matter if it's running, cycling, swimming, whatever, you need carbs.
Ultra bowling.
Yes. Golf. Yeah, maybe not. that's just ruining a walk. Isn't that the same?
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll just check my notes, because I've got notes. All right, so carbs are king because carbohydrates are converted to glucose, obviously. Sorry, I'm also getting 6 million messages. I've got the notes on my phone, but yeah, which is the body's primary energy source. So if you're not having carbs, you're depleting your body of that primary energy source. And also, if you stop eating carbs, you decrease your body's ability to process carbs once you start using them. Glucose is stored in muscles and your liver as glycogen, which fuels intense exercise. And you might go, well, ultra running is not intense. I'm saying it is pretty intense once you've been out there for a few hours.
That's right.
It starts to feel more and more intense. And running depletes glycogen stores, making carb intake crucial for performance. And that's not just taking them in during the run. Now, the reason why I figured out why I was feeling like a bag of shit on Saturday was because I'd been eating less carbs. Now, it wasn't intentional. I was just like, after America, where basically I'd also was depleted nutritionally because I had not been eating, because every time I would eat, it was like my stomach would swell, and it was this weirdest feeling like I'm so full I can't eat another mouthful, even though I'd barely eaten anything. It was the weirdest thing. It was almost like my stomach lining was swollen. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is it would make like 2 mouthfuls and I'd feel so full I thought I was going to barf. So I was depleted from lack of food, probably. And then when I got back, I thought I'm going to try and eat really healthy. And
because you've been off your, because
I have oats normally for breakfast, but I've been off them.
And toast.
I've been off toast. I still can't eat toast. It just makes me feel sick.
So you cut out those 2 major sources of carbs.
Yep. And I went and made, a quinoa porridge with almonds and, and that sort of stuff. And that's a lot more protein as opposed to carbs. I mean, it's still some carbs, but it's not as many as I was having. And I got rid of, like I would normally sometimes have a bit of a cereal as a snack, but instead I was having the high protein yogurt with some fruit, and that's, berries, because of course I'm fructose intolerant too. So anyway, I really had unknowingly kind of depleted my carbs by trying to eat healthy and trying to find things that would actually make me want to eat. To be fair, the quinoa got old pretty quick. So and it was so much harder to eat. It would take so much longer, which got really boring.
Right.
So I went, I'm really lacking energy.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's carbs. So when we went out to the Hungry Hiker, I ate a heap of naan and rice, and obviously a lot of, we had a goat curry. That was good. Lots of goat and lamb. Oh, the lamb was good. Anyway, we're going to have to go back there and try out some of different meals.
That's right.
Anyway, so where was I? So I added lots of them, and by the next, and before we ran in the morning, I ate, crumpets with jam and that sort of stuff, and a bit of peanut butter. And I think I had 2 of them, like big crumpet squares, not the circles, but more than I would normally eat. And I just felt so much better on the run.
The
like
difference
so good.
Yeah, the difference between Saturday and Sunday was astronomical.
Polar opposites. Yeah. And I can only attribute it to the increasing carbs again. And that's how quickly they can work.
Yeah, and it was so quick that I think about 7 Ks in, you piped up with, maybe I won't give up running.
Yeah, that's right. I did, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah, because I was a little bit scared for that run, to be fair, because it was like the previous experience was so terrible. Low carb running, this sentence is coming out really bad, impairs high intensity performance, but it impairs all performance essentially, and you would think, but an ultra runner, you need to run on burning fat, but then that means you've got to run super slow. To utilize fat as a fuel source, you have to run super slow, and that means you're just going to be running slow and just plod. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to run all my runs like that. Do you?
No, absolutely not. You finish feeling like you've
been hit by a truck.
Yeah, like you've used up all your stores rather than finishing feeling good.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I'm not saying eating carbs will make you sprint like Usain Bolt, but it means if you need to push up a hill, that's intense. That's what you need carbs for. If you've got to, if you're in a race and you just want to pass someone on a single track, all those sorts of things. And if you just want to keep up a good clip, you need carbs. If you want to be up the back, slow as, then just go on fats, because seriously, you're going to have no energy. And not only that, but carbs help with serotonin. So carbs influence serotonin production, affecting mood and motivation. Pretty sure we need both of those for running, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And it also mental clarity and focus improve with adequate carb intake. So I can tell you, I was very much in a bad mood and not motivated on the Saturday running. Would you not agree?
I would agree. Yes.
And as soon as I had lots of carbs, I was just in such a better mood the next. I just felt great and happy again, and everything improved. And so I've gone back to my oats for my breakfast. I've upped my carbs in general, because then what I did, because of course I'm a sports nutritionist and I should know better, but you know what it's like? I do stuff for everybody else and you kind of forget about yourself and just think, oh yeah, whatever, I'll be right. But I actually went through the whole process that I do with my clients who I do nutrition plans for. And I realized I was like on the real low end of carb intake, like just under the low end. So probably a bit too low. So I've upped it to more a moderate level. And and we'll see. Tomorrow we've got a 35K run.
Yep.
And hopefully that will feel 200 million times better.
Yeah, so we're doing 35 Ks with about twice as much climbing, or maybe even a bit more, and about the same, about twice as much to what we did last week. So it will be a harder run
in general.
But considering that you're feeling like
death warmed
up right from the get-go, I think.
And like I did a 20K run. I did a 20K run on Wednesday with 670 meters climbing, and I felt great. I mean, I was getting fatigued by the end because my legs were, because once again, I'm not used to running so far. I'm used to doing more hiking at the moment. So my legs were getting fatigued from the running perspective, as in the muscular, the physiological perspective. But I felt great the whole run and I enjoyed it and I had fun. So I'm more looking forward to tomorrow than I was last week. Like last week, I was even just dreading. I was just feeling just bleh in general. But and part of it is, of course, still getting over this sickness or whatever I had, and all that sort of stuff. But jet lag and whatnot. But I just feel like carbs are so important. And what I find, particularly amongst women, is they reduce carbs as a way of reducing calories. Now, essentially, that's fine. But what you need to ask yourself, am I doing all this training for weight loss or to perform in a race? Right?
Yeah.
If you're after weight loss, then that's fine. It doesn't matter how slow or fast you run or how far you run or whatever you do, because it's just about calories in, calories out. I'm not about calories in, calories out. I'm about fueling for performance and fueling so that I can recover and enough to be able to run the next day and to have the energy to run.
And also, the more carbs you intake, and I'm talking about not way overdoing it.
No. I'm not talking about being a pig. Yeah.
The more carbs you eat, the more carbs your body will use, because it won't need to fall back on
eating the body
up, basically. It knows it's got a good supply of energy.
Yeah.
And it'll use that energy.
That's right. Because like I said, if you stop eating carbs, your body stops knowing how to process it correctly. Yeah. So consuming carbs on a regular basis and within the run helps your body to become really efficient.
That's right. Because also, if you starve your body of carbs, and then you decide to eat carbs, your body will store that
for emergency
glucose, because it knows it's going to need it later on.
Yeah.
And that's why you put weight on, or you feel, I guess,
low energy, whatever. All I notice is a lot of times when people come to me with nutritional issues and say they're low in energy, I up their carbs and they feel awesome and they run better. They get PBs. They do better in races. It's just amazing. These are people who come to me who aren't having run coaching. I just do their nutrition. So I'm not changing their program. I'm just changing their nutrition, and bang, they run better.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably amazing to observe it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first, especially women, they're like, oh, I don't want to eat that much. And, but once they try it.
Yeah. And that's like I say, if carbs are good if you use them.
Yeah. And look, I'm a big believer in carb loading. I've always carb loaded before all my races. I find that it makes a huge difference. And I always normally carb load a little bit before I used to before my long runs. I've gotten lazy. I've stopped doing it. So I'm doing it a bit again. Well, I'm just upping my carbs at the moment. So it feels like carb loading at the moment.
We don't necessarily have a big
carby meal. Because once again, I've kind of gone off pasta and all those sorts of things. I don't know. But so it's been a bit harder. If you can hear a noise in the background, it's some sort of fan of my son's. And I'm not allowed to turn it off. Yeah, I'm not allowed to turn it off.
Yeah, dehumidifier, because he's got his books in this room.
Yes.
And he doesn't like
them to get moldy.
Yes. So.
Anyway. The things we do for our children, huh? Right. Anyway, so just ignore that. It'll be off in a little bit. I heard it during the night last night and it was giving me the shits.
We've got to close this door during the night.
I closed it.
So loud.
I thought I closed it. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, carb loading. So carb loading makes a huge difference. And once again, especially for women, because they historically don't eat enough carbs. So when they carb load, they're actually probably eating the right amount, and then they feel so much better.
Yeah.
We were discussing it the other day because we were discussing your diet, for want of a better word, whilst I was in America. Yeah. I don't know what to call it. It wasn't a diet. It wasn't a nutrition plan. It was a
pig out.
Yeah. I don't know what to call it.
A descent into
all I know is I saw a lot of Macca's shit in the bin.
I had that once.
Okay.
I had that once.
Yep. I noticed you hid it in the bin.
I just put it in the bin.
Yeah, true. And I went to put something in the bin. I'm like, what the hell monster's been eating? It was so much, it looked like. And you told me about pizza and fish and chips and anyway, and hot dogs for dinner one night.
Yeah.
I think a whole pack of hot dogs, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, I said, oh my God, I would just feel so guilty eating like this. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I would struggle to eat like that because of the guilt.
Yeah.
I even went out for a dinner with a girlfriend last night and I ate more than I normally would. And I was so full and I felt guilty all day. But it's like, I've got to get over that shit because, and you don't feel guilty.
I don't feel guilt about food. I've
awesome.
Never been that sort of person that feels guilty about food, even when I've eaten to the point where I couldn't possibly eat another thing.
My God, he eats to the point, like if I can't finish him, he'll eat it and he'll eat this and that. And I'm like, how does that all fit in one human being?
Yeah. And, to be honest, for the most part, my running has been to control my weight. Like I exercise to control my weight. I don't eat to control my weight.
Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of exercising to control your weight. But in saying that, I would love to not have guilt. And I was talking about it with Ron, and I said it's part of this, growing up as a female. I mean, like I said to Ron, I've been dieting since primary school. I remember in primary school seeing an old couple buying all this junk food, and I thought, I can't wait till I'm old and I can eat what I want and not worry about my weight. And I was like, 8 or 9 years old. Yeah. I mean, ridiculous. I was like a stick. I look at pictures of me and I was like a freaking stick. Yeah. But I still, had my sister telling me how fat and ugly and fat and gross I was. So that didn't help. But I think, women have been, not so much anymore with the whole body positive thing, which, once again, I'm not
the other way.
It swings the other way and it's too extreme the other way, celebrating being overweight. And previously, we had Kate, what was her name? That model, Kate, somebody who looked like she'd been, oh my God, like half dead. I mean, from what I hear now, she's got such soft bones from being so skinny.
Kate Moss?
Yeah, Kate Moss, so thin. Like that's what we were presented with as, when we were young, of what the ideal woman looked like. And it was like, well, that's an impossible thing unless you're taking speed constantly to,
Which she probably was.
Yeah, of course she was.
She was dieting on a diet of speed and cocaine.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. That was the diet. Topped off with champagne.
Only on special occasions.
That's right. And the odd cigarette to, reduce her hunger. Because that's what women were sold cigarettes back in the day, was to stop you eating. Anyway, so that's so for me, I feel guilt if I, eat too much and look like a pig and blah, blah. But I just, as much as I didn't agree with what you ate, I just loved your response. Like, no, why would I feel guilty? And I thought that is so awesome. That it's brilliant. It's lucky you're not fat, but then by the same token, you've had cholesterol issues and I don't.
Yes, I have. I have been known to have cholesterol issues in the
Yes.
past,
Yeah.
which once again can be and has been controlled by my diet.
Yes, and it's to do with all that processed
Yeah.
shit and processed meats and fats.
Which nowadays I don't eat a whole lot
No,
of.
because I help you with
Yes.
your diet. And so, and with my help and you eating what I encouraged you to eat, we lowered your cholesterol.
Yeah.
So once again, even if you want a cholesterol lowering meal plan, I'm here for that too, because it's awesome fun getting you to get the tests and seeing it come down. Like, it's brilliant. But so, I'm saying this is not Ron's terrible, meal plan while I was away is not related to eating carbs, but it is related to, we need to stop feeling guilty for eating, especially if we're using it to fuel performance.
Having said that, I felt freer to eat all that crap while you're away, knowing that when you got back, I was going to go back to eating normally again.
I thought knowing that you were going to get in trouble.
No, knowing that.
And you didn't get in trouble, did you? Like, I'm not some horrible person.
My diet would be back under control again.
Yeah,
and, so that gave me a little bit more freedom.
It was like a food holiday.
Yeah, to eat all that crap.
Yeah, that's right, because you knew there was an end in sight. It wasn't forever. So like that's fair. We needed someone to eat the calories for both of us. So.
And I was doing
you were doing that because I wasn't eating jack shit. Well, I was.
Having said that, it was dinners where I was doing that. I was still eating my
healthy lunches that I've gotten you on to, because you used to eat junk food for every lunch too, didn't you?
Lunches were still same as always.
And your breakfast and everything.
And my breakfast. It was just dinners where I'd
go wild.
Crazy.
So anyway, I just want people to feel less guilt, especially if you're highly physically active. Although I say, you shouldn't exercise to lose weight necessarily, or exercise so you can eat what you want. We do have a bit more freedom when we do as many kilometers as we do, not to eat junk, but to eat. And it's not just the freedom to do it. You have to. If you love your human body and respect it, then you'll fuel it. Why? Self-love is eating to support your human body. Self-loathing is depriving your body of the nutrients and calories it needs so that it's only operating in survival, not thriving. And I want my body to thrive. Like, I love what my body can do for me, how it can run these long distances and I can push it so hard, but I can only push it so hard because of the vast quantities of food that I consume. And I'm, and it's not like I'm stuffing my face with junk. It's all healthy relatively, but I just think you've got to eat carbs and you will notice such a big difference. Energy, mood, you'll be able to absorb so much more training. And I'm always big on protein. Like, I eat a lot of protein and I'm big on protein, which is probably why I forgot about carbs for a little bit there. But you can do both, and it's equally good for you. Like, when I say I'm big on protein, I'm not ridiculous.
No, it's not like you have a meat only diet or any of those silly fad diets.
Well, I'm not into fad diets. So, I just eat a really healthy diet with all macronutrients, and so do you know. So, make sure that you're getting enough carbs. If you're not sure, I'm here. I do nutrition plans. Go to the Peak Endurance Coaching website, or shoot me an email or a DM, and let's get you a proper plan that makes sure you're eating enough carbs and calories in general, because you will see the difference. Because like I said, I've worked with people and the difference is huge. They've gone from struggling through races to getting PBs, and this is in marathons and everything, not just, a 5K or something. And also within, just their training for ultras, it just makes such a difference. I just think I'm always saying this to my clients, is that ultra running, like you've got triathlon, which is a 3-discipline sport. Ultra running is I think it's still a 3-discipline sport. It's running, nutrition, and mental strength, right? That's the 3 disciplines of ultra running. So you've got to work on all 3. Luckily, I'm qualified in all 3.
You are, actually.
I am. The reason I'm qualified in all 3 is because I know how freaking important they are. Like, I'm not doing it because, I think, I could make money out of it. No, it's because I know how important they are, and I want to be 100%, like, not just know it's important, but actually be qualified in it.
And your interests were peaked because you're working on yourself.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And I've seen the difference it makes with me. And then once I've gotten qualified and I'm sharing that with other people, I can see the huge differences with other people. Like, I've done mental toughness work with clients, like 10 sessions or whatever, and just the huge difference by the end, but it's the same thing. It's same with all of it. And it makes such a difference. And people think training for an ultra is just running, but it's not.
No.
It's so much more. And the nutrition is a huge, huge part of it that cannot be ignored. And carbs, you need carbs. Yes, all the ultra training will make you way better at fat. You'll be much more fat adapted, right? You will be than the average person. But you need to be able to use carbs, and you need carbs. If you want to do well in your running and actually feel good while doing it, then you need carbs.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a a non-negotiable.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to, improve your PB down at parkrun, then, yes, carbs are still important, but you can.
Well, carbs are actually the faster you go, the more carbs are important, but you can't eat too much before a 5K. That's
Whereas
the thing.
if you want to finish the final 5K of a 60K run, then you need to have fueled your body properly in the lead up to that.
Yes, as well. So like when I was doing fast marathons, I would do a 3-day carb load, which was, about 9 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight, which is a lot. And then I would have a gel every 20 minutes without fail. Because if you want to run fast, you need carbs. And I know people going into marathons will have a gel every 45 minutes and then wonder why they can't run faster. So, a proper carb load, a proper nutritional strategy for the race. And also, and then not only a carb load, but a diet that supports all of that as well. It's a big process. Yeah. So really important to work on your nutrition. And like I said, I'm here to help. Go to the website and see what the programs I have. Any other thoughts on carbs or anything like that?
No, I think we've covered it.
Yeah. All right. Well, yes, next week's podcast, we can actually say what it's about, can't we? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it'll be a chat with my daughter, Elizabeth, about what it was like crewing me and all the people she met and meeting with Laz.
What the atmosphere around
camp was. Because really, essentially, she didn't really do much. Well, she did a lot to crew me before the race, but there wasn't like interloopal crewing because there was no interloopals. There was no loopals.
No loopals of any kind.
No, not at all.
But that she still, while you were out, was in camp.
Was in camp and seeing what was going on, and she can talk about it from that perspective, seeing the people come through. We can talk about, just a variety of different things, So it'll be fun. And look, I always love to have a chance to chat with my daughter.
That's right, you do.
So it's all good. It's all good. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Are you going to be able to click on the stop recording? Because this microphone's in my way.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us. No. Yep. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Catch you next week.
Bye-bye.